Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community, just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment.
I got to get on the computer.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sunday Night Live. My wife is checking out my project. Say hi, baby.
Hi.
Peek down and say hi.
Hi.
That is my wife. She's her mom. Her mom and sister are in town for the recital, and I'm hiding out up here. Don't tell them. No, they know I'm up here. Got the other mother-in-law and aunt-in-law was here earlier today, so she is playing innkeeper and getting them all set up while I'm up here working. So anyway, welcome everybody to the live.
I'm good. Bye.
All right. See it. Welcome everybody to the Sunday live. I decided last minute to do it. I was not sure I was going to do it. I've got my desk. I tore all my office apart and am redoing my office and built a desk that goes, was it 12 feet long, and it's almost 3.5 feet deep. I've got it all set up. I think it's going to be much better for video. It's going to be a better angle for my backdrops. But right now, the green screen is covering a disaster area. So bear with me on that. But hopefully by next week, it'll be all done. The desk is stained, but it needs to dry for another 12 hours before I can put the top coat on it. So welcome everybody. If you're new, just put your questions in and we will get to them. If you're a regular, you know how it works, and welcome. Thanks for jumping on last minute. I didn't decide until it was about 10 minutes to 8 when I said, all right, I'll do it. They were talking about going to bed early. Everybody had a long couple of days, and my daughters were getting to bed on time. So here we are. Welcome, Rob. Welcome, Brock. Had a tournament today. Good spot for Thursday night tournament. You can have bag 3 instead of 5. 5-pounders would most likely win about every Thursday night. Nice. Welcome, Herb. Good to have you. Bo. Bo, I would say that's definitely a good call, especially on a cuddy with that what'd you say, a 1952 Capri. Um, yeah, that 3.0, no good. Not enough. I don't think that's enough for the way anybody wants to boat, but especially for yourself. So, um, good call. Yes, the big money at the end. That is good motivation. Brian, welcome. It's my West Virginia family that's in. They actually my stepmother-in-law, I guess, and aunt came in, aunt-in-law, flew in from Clarksburg. There's a Clarksburg to Charlotte flight that is super cheap, super easy. And so they flew in Friday, flew out this afternoon at Contour Airline, maybe. And so if you ever need to fly down to Charlotte, they've had a pretty good experience. The last time one of them used it, the flight did get canceled. So I think it's a pretty small airline, um, but but it worked out well for this. How long of a tow rope should I carry to help tow in boats when needed? If I'm towing something like I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I'll captain for Cito, not Cito, Boat US on Lake Wiley, the other guys, for Boat US, and I'll usually tie off a tow. I don't know. I would say it's probably 40 feet. Here's what you want. You want to make sure you've got a heavy enough tow rope to tow the weight of it. Obviously, you're just going to go in idle. I'll typically, and we've got the full setup. I'll typically tow, 5 miles an hour. When I'm towing with they've got a center console and two catamarans, that 19-foot catamarans, 19-foot center console. The twin engine is getting repowered and won't be back up till the end of July, I think. But something that's 40-foot long, a good setup is to make sure that you're tying off on something super super sturdy on your pontoon and go real slow. And then you want enough length that when you back off the throttle nice and slow, that boat's not going to come smashing into you. So a couple of things you can do. I don't have my boat, so I'll use my mouse. Is when you're towing, you're going slow, but when you slow down, what I'll do is I'll turn so that my momentum comes here. And then even if the boat does go, it's kind of going past me. And that's a good technique to use to make sure that you don't smash your outboard, and smash their boat. But something that is that you can tie off to 40 feet or so is a pretty good length. That's on an in-water lake. If you're going in the coastal environment, I don't know what that would be. If anybody's a coastal boater, I would have to talk to some of the captains that are running at the coast, because there you want a little bit more. If you're towing 5 miles on an inland lake, you don't need that dip in the line, but you've got bigger swells to deal with. On Lake Wiley, if I'm pulling through foot chop, that's a rough day. And so I don't have that hitting the swell, and you've got that dip in the line that is going to accommodate that and not shock load a bunch. Just took our new Sea Ray 240 Sun Deck out on Lake of the Ozarks. It was a blast, did well on the main channel, just ate through fuel. Have is good unit for navigating lakes. So there's a couple of ways you can go. You can do an app on your phone. So these are the ones that I have. Let me go into my boating folder. So I've got Argo, which I think at the Lake of the Ozarks, it depends. Chase Banks, welcome, by the way. That's a name I haven't. Now maybe you've been on a couple. The 420 at the end makes me think maybe I've seen you before. But if you like to use it to find, like, hey, I'm going to go to Redheads, or I want to go to I want to go to Margaritaville, or I want to go to the Cave, and you don't know where those places are at. The reason I like Argo is because it works more like Waze, where you can type in the name of the restaurant or the bar or the marina that you want to go to, and you can. My daughter's requesting screen time, which is not going to happen tonight. But you can put that in, and it'll auto route you there. And I like that because if I'm going to a restaurant and I don't know the GPS coordinates, or I don't know where it's located on the map, it's on Navionics, which is a more detailed marine navigation app. Better contouring, better accuracy on depths, better detailed all the way around. The breadcrumbs. Argo's got that feature where you can drop breadcrumbs on your way there, and then you just follow those breadcrumbs on the way back. Which is, they've added that in the last year or so. After I talked to them, that's something that they added that they were missing previously. But I like it on the lake environment where I want to go to this place, but I don't know where it is. And the other one is Savvy Navi. Good, but that's more of I'll say coastal type boating. It's more of like Navionics, where it's straight. You can't put in the name of a place. I want to go to Paradise. Well, you have to know where Paradise is and put that waypoint on your app, and then it will take it there. But if you don't know where it is and you want to go check it out, some of those are, shorty pants. We got to go way back in that cove to find it. And if you don't know where it is, well, you're out of luck. So that's, again, where Argo is better. Overall, Navionics, which is, I think, $70-$80 a year, is by far the best navigation app. But for new boaters, I think a lot of time it's too much. There's a lot of details that a new boater doesn't necessarily need, and it's a lot of details that an inland boater doesn't really need either. So on Lake of the Ozarks, I would go with Argo. I think is best. And ARGO. This is, I'll show it to you. This is the Argo app there. I don't know if that's green. There we go. It's kind of light blue. The Navionics, I subscribe to all of them. I bought the paid Argo you can download for free, and then you can get some of the extras for, it's pretty inexpensive. But I bought all of them, and I keep their subscription just to keep up with what are they doing new, what are they doing that I like and don't like, and that's where I'm at now. I've been meaning to make a video, but in my mind I've got this video where I've got 3 phones recording, and I'm running Navionics, I'm running Argo, and I'm running Savvy Navi. Wave app is a company out of Canada. That the one is probably 4th on my list for a number of reasons. But here's what's interesting is they're always updating and adding and changing. And I liked Wave at one point, but over the last 2 years, Argo has jumped from being towards the bottom for me to one of the top ones. So that's the one I would use, and I would just try the free version on all of them to see what you like. But I think you'll find, because of the restaurant thing, I think you'll find Argo being the winner. Jerry, welcome. Hopefully your weather is holding out for you up there in Maryland, and you're getting ready for the water. I think your Regal's in the water, if I remember right from last week. Chris M, welcome back. Doug Gold just bought a brand new Manitou. Dealer wants me to buy Ultimar spray protector for exterior and interior, 1,500. Is it worth it? I don't know. I'm not familiar. I'm assuming it's a ceramic coat, but I am not familiar with that name. So and I'm only running 2 screens today, so I'm not going to be as smooth. You'll see more than you usually do. ULTMAR, chemical manufacturer, boat. All right, so surface protection system, family owned, Dedicated to those who trust us. Maintenance kick today. So this looks like video. Manufacturer United States, no aftermarket manufacturing. They meet EPA standards. Exterior formula will assist in protecting against environmental impact to all painted surfaces and fiberglass surfaces. So that sounds like it's not going to work, Doug, on the aluminum, just your tubes. So this is just on the fence rails. These include weather-induced fading, damage occur from the sun, loss of oxidation, UV exposure, hazards that occur from bird droppings. Protection product will aid, the interior protection product will aid in the prevention from oil, water, spills, stains, dry transfer, rips, cuts, antimicrobial, eco-friendly, VOC-free, non-poisonous, safe line of defense, prevent bacterial growth on interior surfaces, inhabit one-time product application, no reapplication needed to maintain warranty. So a couple of questions, Doug, that I would ask is, one, how long does this stuff last? I don't know what the warranty is, so I can't to maintain the warranty. I don't know how long that is. No claim, dollar limit, zero deductible, timely claim authorization, transferable warranty. So it sounds kind of like I personally, I'm as I'm reading this, if anybody out there has used this Ultimar company or product, let me know. But it's screaming to me that it's a major profit center for the dealer, and they're spraying, $200 worth of product on your boat. And the big thing is the warranty that you're getting. Now, I don't know enough about it to know if the product is good. My guess is there's a ton of margin in there for the dealer. So I would seriously think about negotiating if you are going to do this type of thing. It could be great, but I'm not familiar with it. So I can't say, but, you're still going to need to cover your boat. You just spent a good chunk of money on a premium brand boat. And let's see if there's a video here. Three minutes, agent loop, consumer information. Like, if we have time, I'll come back to this, but I'm not going to make everybody watch this video while I do research on the live. But do me a favor, shoot me an email and at captain at boatersecretweapon.com. So there's the email, Doug. Just shoot me an email and say, hey, I'm the guy that asked about this Ultimar, and I'll do a little bit of diving in for you. And see, become an agent, become a dealer, request information. I've never heard of them. That doesn't mean they're good or bad. Just means that I'm not aware of them. So shoot me an email. I'll do some research and I will get back to you on that. Yeah. Contour, travel down there for work. Awesome. Yeah. We were super excited when they picked up that route again here to Charlotte. Good evening, Savvy. Welcome back. Clarksburg to Charlotte, and then connect to Durham, Raleigh, Durham. Yes, Argo, you got it. And I think I just saw Jerry. It's Chase Banks is the creator. I'm blanking on his name right now. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times a few years ago, but a super nice guy. He's done all of this out of his own pocket. And is just creating what he thinks boater needs. He's up in the Chesapeake area, and has built something that is just progressively got better and better and better and better. Also did a full Annapolis Harbor tour, including all the way down to Ego Alley. Excuse me, perfect captain, perfect. The 180 pivot in place at the end. That is awesome. I love it, Jerry. The pivot maneuver, if you're not aware, if you're a new boater and you struggle with handling the best boat captain, it will give you what you need. And now we've got single stern drive, single outboard, pontoon, tri-tune, and twin engine, and jet boat and inboard versions are going to be done if all goes well. I'll say before Memorial Day, but I've got a lot of stuff on my calendar, but that's what I'm shooting for. And having Jerry's running a 28-foot cruiser with a single engine and with the Volvo, and knowing how to handle your boat in tight quarters gives you the confidence to go down Ego Alley, which is the big section of docks with all of the huge boats and up in the Chesapeake area. I've never been, but I've heard people talk about it, and I heard it's pretty incredible. Having the confidence to run down there, knowing that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of activity, there's some amazing vessels down there, and that you can handle your boat in those situations. Sustainability, welcome back. Good to have you. And D. Greg, welcome. Have you ever done oil change doing a reverso? How would you rate the level of difficulty for a boater who can use basic tools? I have not, but I would say easy. I would say if you've got some basic mechanical skills, and I don't know the name reverso, but I assume it's just a suck pump that you pull out from the dipstick. And there's let me just double check, but I'm reverso pump. Yeah, so it's you're sucking it out, and I don't know if it's the actual, if you've got a D. Greg, I don't remember what you have for sure, but on some of the larger boats, they'll have these in there that are actually built in, and they may also make portable ones. Again, I don't recognize this brand, but $500. Those look like mounted versions. Mounted. Yeah, I can't tell if that one's portable or not, but yeah, I think it's a pretty easy thing to do. Just, be aware of leaking fuel and dripping, and keeping a they call them a diaper, but keeping a nice absorbent mat right there where you're working, and have plenty of rags that you can use to make sure you're not dripping oil in different spots that you don't want to drip oil, especially in the bottom of your bilge. Keep that as clean as possible. And I think if you've got even just a little mechanical know-how, that you'll be able to do it easy. If you can do an oil change on a car, the only difference is you're attaching that end, if it's a portable one, and sucking it out, and then changing your filter and doing all that. If you've done that on a car, you can definitely do it on a boat with not much problem at all. Argo's great app. Auto routing is great. Okay, so it's $20 a year now. They still have the free version, and then you can upgrade to the other stuff. And for $20, to me, it's like I said, I bought all of them. But it's a small amount. Even the Navionics, which is the most expensive, I think my version was $80 when I did it. I think they're probably getting ready to renew here shortly if they haven't already. Yeah, made right there in Maryland. You're welcome, Chase Banks. You're very welcome. And that's another. I know a couple other people here. C-Max is pretty good, run by Low Rants. The free version's pretty decent. Paid versions are definitely worth it. That is one, Brock, that I need to download because I do not have that one on my list of comparisons. See map boating and get. All right. I don't know my password. Of course, I never know my passwords, but we'll do that. That'll remind me. Thank you for that, Brock, for sharing that. And I will, like I said, I planned on last year doing this. I didn't have enough devices that I could put it, but now I've got mine, my wife's, my daughter who's starting to babysit has hers, and so I can take that. And I think I can do at least 3. I'll try to do 4, but I thought that would be perfect. Run the same route, from place to place and show the differences and how easy they are to do the same thing that you would do on a trip. And if I end up at the coast doing it, I'll try to do the same thing in a coastal environment, because I think there's different things that you want at the coast than what you want when you're inland. And that's just in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. So, but a lot of times I've got to go through a process before I'm like, oh yeah, because I really liked the Savvy Navy. And then that's what I was running when we were in Tennessee one day. And we were on Lake Loudon in Knoxville, and we said, hey, let's go out to eat for dinner. And my wife said, oh, there's supposed to be this place that's over here, and we can go. And we didn't know, we didn't have the address. We didn't have anything. I tried to type it in. Navionics didn't work. We had the actual Navionics on the Cobalt that we were running that day, my in-laws Cobalt. And then I did Savvy Navi. I did Argo, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. And Argo took us right there because it's got the integration of kind of the Google Maps type data, and you can just pull up the restaurant and go right there. So that was pretty great. Thoughts on the Dorado series from Scout, considering 275 instead of a large formula? Maintenance should be much lower with the. Yes. Yeah. So Seth, I am. So I sold Scout for a number of years. Scout, and I really, really like the Dorados. They're nice, solid boats. And if you're running in the coast, what I like about them is, especially for the coastal environment, I did a video and I called it dual console. All right, I'm going to go small on me, but Bow Rider versus dual console, if you can see that video right there. And I talk about, and Seth, tell me if you're if you're in a coastal environment. I assume when you say maintenance should be lower without the IOs, that tells me that maybe you're in a coastal environment. But in the coast, what I like about them is they've got a flared out bow, and they've got a little bit of higher freeboard up in the bow. They also have scuppers, which are going to be better to drain if you get caught in a big rainstorm. If you get in a really sloppy seas and you take a wave over the bow, that water is going to drain out much, much faster. You also don't have the intricacies in the upholstery. You don't have the pleats to get the salt water stuck in there, and making that much, much more difficult to clean. You usually have just a textured surface cockpit floor. Your upholstery, a lot of it snaps out, really easy to clean, and keep in good shape. And then the safety factor of the they call it Carolina Flare on those. Those are made in Charleston. I have been to their dealer meeting a couple of times. Have I been to the Scout factory? I've been to the Scout factory once, I think, but it was like 3 factories ago. So it wasn't the one they're in currently. As they've grown, they've expanded into larger and better facilities. But as far as the level of quality, the formula and the cobalt are going to be a little bit better fit and finish, a little bit more solid of a boat. Now if you run them back to back, you'll be able to feel the difference. There's also the IO, although you can get those both with formulas, especially you can get those with the outboard. But it's going to be a little bit more solid boat because those brands are built slightly better than the Scout brand. I have the Scout brand in the mid tier in my center console review. If you haven't watched that, console best and worst center consoles, I would put them in the upper mid tier, but I don't think they're quite in the premium category when it comes to the quality construction. Now, when it comes, they're beautiful boats, in my opinion. I think they are gorgeous. They're one of the first center console lines that went for the colored upholstery and the looks, and the mixing the family friendly with the offshore. They were one of the first ones to kind of go down that path and say, we're going to make our boats look amazing and get the whole family on board and make sure that we're hitting what the wife wants with the aesthetics. The construction quality is good. It's good, but it's not top of the line in my opinion. So, but if you're in the coastal environment, let me scroll down and see. Coastal, correct. Yeah. Salt kills. Yeah. Because of that, I think the dual console in general is going to be a better fit for you. I think it's a better boat style decision for the reasons that I mentioned. And, like I said, unless you ran a Cobalt or a Formula and then you ran a Scout, you won't really notice a difference. It's going to be a good, solid boat. But there's going to be a few things that if you were to go from one to the other that you would notice. But that dual console, I think, is a much better fit, and Scout's a good solid brand. Let's see here. Have you ever heard of Cerakote for metal? I have not. Let's see here. Cerakote for metal. Cerakote gunmetal gray ceramic coating. Okay, so that's a ceramic coat for metal. Sparkling powder gray, fine silver metallic gives the color shimmering depth. Shop gallery resources. High temp powder, nitrate. So fishing is really becoming the choice finish for fishing, protection, and repair. All right, so they're putting that on reels. Surpasses anodized powder coat and other paint-based OEM finishes. I am not familiar with this. It looks like they are. I mean, when you go to industries, the only thing that's marine based is fishing, and it looks like they're selling it to put on reels. So I don't know sustainability. I don't know anything about it. But again, another one that I will dive into a little bit more. Application and training. Okay, so $2,200 to get trained to apply this stuff. It is not a DIY finish.
NIC Industries offers the only one-on-one training program for Curacoat North America. You will receive individual training in a state-of-the-art facility in Oregon. Expert trainers will provide you the training you need for your industry. Okay, so it sounds like the application's different based on industry to industry, maybe. Each class is tailored to fit your need. Please review the documents. Yeah, sustainability, let me dive deep on that because I don't know. Versus anodine, Teflon. I mean, I guess if you're looking at doing it on the fence rails or something, offers very limited color selection. Interesting. All right. Yeah, let me sustainability. I know you make a bunch of these, so I'll try to get through some of that and share a little bit more next week on the live for next week. Only thing I don't like about using the phone, screen timeout, something I already own compared to yeah, you can go through, there's a setting that you can turn on that says don't turn the screen off. I've got an iPhone and there's a setting. The one thing that I do not like about my phone is sometimes in a bright sunny day is, I'm getting my hat out or I'm getting a towel and really trying to see it. And the screens have gotten brighter, but sometimes that can be problematic as well. So there's, the screens that you can go with, depending on Chase Banks, the type of boat you have is another option. But yeah, you start getting much more expensive when you start going to a Simrad Navionics or something like that, chart plotter. But again, then you lose the one feature that I do like, which is and I don't know anybody that's doing the Argo style function where you search for the place and it finds the place like Waze does, so that is, if anybody else knows of something that does that and doesn't just have waypoints. Now you could program everything in, but again, like I said, the situation that happened to us is, hey, we didn't even know we were trying to figure out the name of the restaurant and we figured that out and then we had to figure out where it was. So, definitely for the AR-15s. Yeah. It seemed like something they were doing in many other industries. I thought that was the first thing I saw was guns. Firearms. There we go. Firearms, aerospace, fitness, electronics, and much more. So I wonder if they're just expanding into the marine market as an additional application for it. But it's interesting that it's got color to it. Which is a new thing for ceramic type coating, because I get that's what it is some type of a coating. Anyway, all right. Friend just got a new slip on Lake Minnetonka for his tune. Thought about all the slip rental possibilities that may exist. What are some of the standard slip agreements on lakes? So typically, Savvy, they will lease a slip either as a rental or a lease year by year. And typically what they'll do is they'll, let's say it's $3,600 a year. Okay. So $300 a month, but they'll usually, if you pay monthly, they'll charge like $350 a month or $400 a month. If you pay yearly, it comes due usually in the off season, so that if you do cancel, they can easily fill in a rental before the main season, that they don't go without for too long. Typically, marinas are going to have a wait list. In most parts of the country, the storage is much lower supply than the demand for people that want it. In most parts of the country, that's true. Some of them will will deed them. So you'll actually have ownership of that particular slip. And then there'll be some maintenance fees that go into it where, if you need to um, uh, replace a float or something like that, or you need to redeck it, there's kind of like an HOA fee in a condo association where everybody puts money into the general maintenance fund, and then the maintenance happens on a regular schedule. And there's bigger what would you call it, put additional funds away, because we know that we're going to have to redeck this thing. We know we're going to have to do something major, and we need a I don't know why I'm blanking on the name, but that would be another way they do it, where you actually own it and it's deeded. That can happen. Those are mainly going to be in community docks, where you live on a lake with homes, and there's 500 houses that are, there's 10 of them that are on the water, and they may or may not have their own dock. But then there's another couple hundred that are back a couple blocks off the water in the neighborhood. And then they can own a deeded boat slip that they can buy and sell with the house, to a neighbor, and it acts just like another property. Those are the main ways that you'll find them. Now, there's a company called, I don't know that Lake Minnetonka would really work, but Docwa is a DOCKWA. So Docwa is kind of like a clearinghouse for transient slips. So if you've got a slip that you want to rent out, you can put it on Docwa, and people will go say, "Hey, I'm in this area and I want a dock." But it's more for like full-time cruisers or people doing the Great Loop, where they're staying for a couple of nights and they need just instead of calling each individual marina, "Hey, do you got a spot? You got a spot?" They put all of their open slip inventory into this app, and then those transient boaters can easily find a slip. Minnetonka. So let's just see if they've got any slips. Okay, so they've got a couple slips that are there. Looks like these are River Heights Marina, Wazata Marina, White Bear, Boatworks. So they've got a couple that are there, and it looks like, I don't know. Looks like a couple of them are not on. All right, so Wayzata is the only one on Minnetonka from the looks of it. But that would be another spot where you rent it. Again, it's transient. What people around here do on the lakes, if they've got a dock that they're not using, they've got an extra slip that they want to rent out. What a lot of them are doing is putting them on Facebook, local moti groups. Say, "Hey, I've got this slip, and it's going to be this much per month. Here's what the access looks like. It's at our personal home. It's at our second home," or whatever the case may be. And they rent it out that way. But if you're subletting a slip from marina, they probably, if they know about it, won't allow that to happen. All right. So a 5-year warranty. Yeah. $1,500 for 5 years. That's $300 a year. Yeah, I'm typically not a huge fan of the warranties like that, but it comes down to how well do they approve the claim when it comes about. Here's my problem with some of those is their profit is tied to them not having any claims. Well, one way not to have claims is to decline them, to make it very difficult to get the claim approved and go through that process. And but it's a wildly profitable business, because if you can keep those claims low, and your spray is, the margins are huge. Your spray is $200 to spray the fence rails and all the upholstery and the carpet or whatever the flooring is, if that's included. And then it's just a matter of, hey, let's keep the claims at a minimum. And sometimes those companies aren't big on service, aren't big on the long lasting relationship. Sometimes they're great. Like I know a lot of people that like the Vanguard product, which is a similar Vanguard protection, which is a similar type program. Vantage, that's what it is, Vantage. And but again, I'm not personally a fan, but I know others that have had good success with it. So let's see here. I don't know if my screen is off. My eyes are all, there we go. And that's why my eyes were all funky. My screen was way down. Corona Dental Arts. Hey, Boat Buyer Secret Weapon, thank you for your content. I'll be the first time buyer buying on Craigslist. Top 5 to 8 questions to ask the seller considering buying a boat in the $10,000 range. So you definitely, Corona, you want to check out this video. Here we go. This tips for buying an older boat. So I don't know exactly what you're looking at, but if it's a 18 plus foot, it's probably going to be a little bit older. So check that out. What you want to ask are questions like, is there anything that you're aware of that's wrong with the boat that we haven't discussed? And then you're going to use your Boat Buyer's Toolkit, which if you haven't gotten it, you can download it for free. And it's got a bunch of these questions, but there's a kind of zeroing in on your perfect boat, the boat selection tool. Demo checklist, trailer inspection. It's all out of order because the printer messed this one up. So some of it's upside down, and I'm trying to find the question section here. Inspection checklist. Here we go. So, private seller. Why are you selling? So, is there a make sense story there? Anything that doesn't work properly. Now, this is kind of a trick question. Is you're asking that to find out, do they say nothing? And then you do your inspection and you find there's a soft floor. You find that the stereo is not working. And now you can follow up with, the stereo is not working. How do they respond? Can you trust them? Are they being honest and upfront with you? That's why I like that question. It's not so much, if they tell you a bunch of things that are wrong with it, hey, I'm probably working with a pretty honest person. Could you forget that the stereo wasn't working or the depth finder wasn't working? Yeah, absolutely. It happens all the time. If you haven't run the boat for a while, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. I've been meaning to fix that. But if there's like big stuff that they don't tell you, well, now I'm going to be really skeptical of everything they said and maybe turned off completely. The service records. Do you have any of the service records? Who did the service? Some of the older boats, they do the service themselves, which is great if they know what they're doing. But then you want to have a conversation about, okay, so you changed the gear lube. How did you do that? Oh, you did your oil yourself. How did you do that? How often did you do it? Just ask some questions to see, did they do it properly, is kind of what you're trying to get at. When was the last time the boat was run? So when was the last time that you ran the boat on the water? Not just turned it on a hose, but when's the last time you actually went out and used the boat? Because what you want to find is, has this boat just been sitting on the trailer in the backyard for 3 years? Well, if that's the case, seals start drying up. Boats, anything mechanical that's not run consistently, things start breaking. That they worked when I put it away, but when you pull it out, a mouse got into the wiring and chewed some stuff up, or things start drying out, or hey, that oil's not circulating, that lube, it's not circulating through the gear case, and it's just all drains out, and now things start season up, and you start having problems there. So I like that question. When's the last time you ran the boat? Not ran it on a hose, but actually ran the boat in the water. How long have you owned the boat, and where did you buy the boat? So did you buy it from a dealer that inspected it and might have some history for me if they don't have service records? Did you buy it from a private individual? Have you only owned it for 3 months? Red flag. Why are you selling it so quickly? Are they say, hey, we've owned it for 10 years, and then you get your boat history report and you find something different? Hey, what's that about? Like, you said you owned it for this period, or you said, I bought it locally from a private person, and then you find that boat was registered down in Florida through the boat history report, and you're like, oh hell, this one's probably been hurricane damaged, because those boats are starting to make their way into the marketplace, and the checks are starting to hit from the insurance companies from the last hurricane in South Florida. So those people are now buying their new boats, and those old ones that maybe have a salvage title, maybe don't, are making their way out into the marketplace and can really get people in bad shape. So that's a good one to ask as well. And let's see. You're in Austin, so has the boat been running saltwater? Did the boat come up from did it come up from Houston or Corpus or something like that? Depending on the type of boat that you're buying, may or may not be a relevant question. But I'm in Charlotte, so I'm 3 hours from the coast. When my buddy was looking to buy a 21-foot bow rider, I said, start your search in like Knoxville, Tennessee, and expand it into Charlotte. Like, you're probably safe here in the Charlotte market, but if you get another hour to the coast, it's likely that boat spent a decent amount of time in the salt environment. And it's harder on a boat. So that's a question I ask when I'm near salt, and I'm going to be a freshwater person. So hopefully that helps you out. But Corona Dental, definitely get the toolkit. It's boatbuyerstoolkit.com. You can just download the PDF. There's some videos that go with it, and it'll be helpful, especially the demo checklist. As important as the questions to ask are, the inspecting it fully, which this video will talk about, and doing a complete long demo is also a absolute must. Run that boat for 20-30 minutes. And because it's that last 10 minutes of the running that you'll find some additional issues that you wouldn't if you just went out and ran it for 5-10 minutes and called that good. All right. Can't stay all night. Have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping in, Brian. Great to have you. Found a Bayliner Discovery Cuddy. Didn't list the engine though. 2011 for 15,000. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad setup. If it's got a trailer. Okay, yeah. So if you've got a Cruiser's 390, it's probably got a mounted pump, which is great. And just figure out they're typically just on off, and then or I'm sorry, there's a suction in and a suction out, because that's typically you can put the oil in with the flowing it that way. If you don't have easy access to the fill, that just kind of dependent on the engine setup and how big is your oil. Are you getting the big gallon jugs of oil that you're using, or can you get a smaller, whatever the quart is, and pour that in? So there's those 3 settings that you'll be able to figure out. And I haven't used a whole bunch of them, but I know enough about them to know that they're typically pretty easy to get figured out. Ray, welcome. Good to have you from Indiana. Ryan, welcome. A new name I don't recognize. I'm considering a Freeman catamaran. Thoughts on catamarans versus monohull. So I haven't had a ton of experience with catamarans until recently. Ryan, if you were here earlier, I mentioned I run for Towboat US in Lake Wylie, and we have there's two 19-foot catamarans. What is going on? I feel like I've got hair on me from my daughters, but the catamarans they're good, stable boats. It depends on how you're using them. You gain some benefits, you lose some benefits. The storage is completely different because you don't have that big deep V. But when you're going through chop, they're real nice and stable boats. Because you've got two hulls that are kind of cutting through the water. The Freeman, I don't know a ton about Freeman specifically. But I know that the catamarans are growing in popularity because of the advantages that they bring to the table. I don't have, if you're looking at that size, I don't have the expertise to tell you which is a better option. And it also is going to depend on how you use the boat. That's going to be a real big part of it. What do I want to say here? Yeah, it's, if you can, Ryan, one of the things that I would recommend is getting out and running one. If you haven't already, is go run. If you're looking at a Freeman, you've probably run V-hull boats before. Go run one of the cats. If you can get that set up through them, or rent one on Get My Boat or Boat Setter or something like that, and just go run it and see if you like how it handles and the way you use it, and check out the storage differences, because the handling will be slightly different. The ride will be different, superior in some ways, but definitely different. And then use it and kind of go through the storage and see how you like the different setups. I think that's a good way to do it. On that type of setup, I run C-maps on my Lowrance lives in the Ranger. Also have a Juggernaut waterproof case. Okay, on my iPad. It's like, I don't know Juggernaut. Mount that to the Ram ball on the dash, Navionics on the iPad as well. That's a great idea. If you've got an iPad with a good waterproof cover, that would give you, again, a less expensive option than going and installing all of the big screens, and running the wires and all of that. A great way, put some type of a Ram ball mount, and run that option with all of the apps that we talked about will run on that. And Google Maps is another, hey, gives you the satellite view of the water. And a lot of times you can see any points that are coming out that might be issues, and can be an option as well. Seeing that detailed, really zooming in, and you can see the points coming out, you can see docks, and you can see setups. You can really see a lot of detail about the surrounding coastal. Okay. Yep. Seth, you're 100% on the right track with outboards for sure. And then, like I said, I think that dual console is a good option for you, with Scout being a good dual console to choose. Popular finish for firearms. Okay. I'm not really into firearms. So I've gone shooting a couple of times, and lately I've had the urge that I want to go shooting. And, matter of fact, my daughter had a dance exposition. Their recital was this weekend, which was four 2-hour recitals that Friday night, and then one Friday, 3 on Saturday, that we tailgated, had Jersey Mikes delivered, and had a really great time. But 2 weekends before, they did a showcase, is what they call it, a showcase at the local gun range. And I was like, I need to go shooting. I need to go in there and have some fun with that. Ceramic coating to keep wear down. New age powder coat. Yeah, it's with all of those, and Brock has talked about this many times, is it's all about the application, or it's all about the prep prior to the application, and having somebody that actually knows what they're doing, which I like the fact that they had professional training. Hopefully that's required. Adventures with R&R, welcome. Yeah, good to have you. It's amazing to me that we've been doing this for well over a year now. And the people that are consistently here and that pop in every now and again, I love to see the same names over and over and over. It really makes me happy. Argo works well. Mini or regular size iPad is an option. Yep, we just talked about that. Awesome, Jerry. You don't have to squint at the phone screen. Yes, as that is critical. They have a video of their coating on an aluminum diesel truck tank. Bennington is looking at offering it. I think they call it full metal jacket. Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna dive into that one. I'm gonna dive into that one for sure. I hear the Carolina Hurricanes are doing well in hockey playoffs. Hats off to you guys down there. Yeah, I've been to one Hurricanes game oh man, it was probably 15, 20 years ago when they first expanded here. My in-laws, my brother-in-law specifically, played hockey, and him and his dad are big hockey fans. I think they're probably some of the best athletes that you can be that quick and that agile while you're on skates is pretty amazing to me. But I don't know anything about it, but love the local Hurricane, or the Carolina teams, to do well. Are you NG to, we realize they need fenders, bumpers. What would you recommend? I don't know what NG is. Are you going to, we realize, yes. So my family has Chase Banks. My family has a place down there that's on the Little Niangua. We bought it in 99 because I bought my personal first house, and then I was 1/7 owner when of the 5 of us in my family and 2 of my cousins. We all bought this lake house within like a couple of months of each other. So I bought my personal first house, and then I bought that. I was like, man, I am really figuring this thing out. I got a lake house already at whatever, 25 years old, whatever I was. But it's been an awesome place for the family. And I don't know, Chase Banks, what kind of boat you have, but typically the best are just the polyform, like a G3 probably is the right size or the right style for you. I don't know. Let's see here. Crap. No, my office is way too tore up to find it, but just I got this internet thing that I can show you. Let's see here. So the TaylorMade or the Polyform, we actually sell all of this stuff. We are working on arranging it and kind of making it easier to find stuff. But the Polyform G3, if pink's not your color, you can color match it to your boat. I've got a resource that I have built, and I'm going to make a video about it, which was part of the reason why I redid my whole office, is so that I can shoot some better videos and set it up more like a studio instead of just an office. But the polyform, the G3, G4, or G5, depending on the size boat that you have, are probably the right fit. If you've got a bigger cruiser, the HTM, the hole through the middle, TaylorMade also makes good fenders. Again, just the double I. Let's see if I can find. We've got TaylorMade on here as well. Probably the 6.5, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5 are probably, again, the right sizes there. And just, you want a line on them that's going to be long enough that you can tie it off in different places so that you can match it up, because all the docks down there are different levels. Some of them are real close to the water. Some of them are real high off. And you want a long enough fender whip, like a line on your fender that you can adjust the height real easily, and just tie it off on a cleat, tie it off on a bow rail, something like that. And then you also want long enough lines that you can tie your boat up. A lot of these slips are made for real big boats, and so you'll need long lines so that you can adjust the lines and maybe use a spring line to keep it from hitting in the bow, and have nice long lines. If you've got, kind of, the rule of thumb is the bow and stern lines are about 2/3 the length of the boat, and your spring line is about the length of the boat, and that will allow you to set it up so that you're always protected. And then the bumpers are just for when that big, huge cruiser rolls by and your boat gets bounced all around. A place like Paradise that's right on the main channel, or Larrywood, which is, I think that's gone now. I think they sold it. I don't know what they ended up doing. Or the Cave, just right on the main channel, and you really want it protected. But that's what I would look at, something along those lines. Let's see here. Yeah, and you can check those out if you want, but you can get them pretty much any marine supply place. I would say I would love it for you to get them from us, and I would, but the experience of shopping right now is not great. So it would be really, really difficult, I think, for you to find it. But if you want Chase Bank, send me an email and I'll send you the link to it. That'll make it a little bit easier for you. If you'd want to support us, I would appreciate it. Tim, welcome. Happy Sunday. Watching your live from my Montauk. Very nice. Just got the first striped bass of the season 10 minutes ago, 30 inches, long winter weight. Got the time. Wanted to say, anyone thinking about getting a saltwater GPS spot lock trolling motor, do it if you can afford it. Total game changer. Lithium battery, good standby anchor in almost every situation. Keep an anchor for safety, but it's much easier to set it and forget it. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Tim. And congratulations getting the first fish of the season. It has begun, and that is exciting. Always use some buoy to tie off my cleats. Never got a scratch. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. My search bar is not even hooked up to the, but there's also, you can go with, and well, I guess I don't have it, but yeah, the big round buoys are, which Brock also mentioned that he likes those when he's on his center console for that big Carolina, that flare on the center consoles. It's nice to have that bigger one, I guess, from what he was saying. I've always used this twin eye version on inland lakes. It's a good fit for most pontoons and bow riders deck boats that don't have that big flare. Hey, Captain Dan, the water wore me out. That's awesome. Also found Google Maps work as a GPS. Yeah, we were just talking about that, and Brock mentioned he uses it as well. So that's another standby as a backup if you need it. Awesome. Hopefully the boat's running well and you're getting out. He just 211 just got his 248 Commander, I believe. The Sea Fox 248 Commander on Lake Cumberland. I think he might be just over a month now. Can't stay long tonight. Woman pressure. Hey, pressure you to look into more boats. That's a good thing. That is a perfectly good thing. Ben, welcome. Thoughts on buying older power boats? Dream of buying an old Donzi Formula Baja. Things to look for, those bigger power boats. So, Ben, when you're looking at those older boats, is you can find some gems, but be patient. We talked about this, I think it was last week. We talked about it in terms of, I think the guy was looking at a Nordic, a big go fast power boat with stern drives, and Baja. Some of the formulas, the Donzis for sure, like the 21 Classic Donzi, 23 Classic, which I love the looks of that boat. Like a 87 or something like that. I mean, they're just awesome looking boats. If you don't know what they look like, they're just sharp. I sold one that was I think it was an 87, that was tan and navy. But with those boats, the thing that jumps out to me is absolutely you can find one that's in great shape and is gonna serve you very well. But the people that buy those boats, they buy them because they look awesome, but also because they run hard, they run fast, and they're made to run. So they get used that way. They get run more wide open throttle. They get run in some chop because that's how they're made to run. That, and the people that buy them, that's why they get them. On the positive side is typically the people that get those style of boats, they are mechanically inclined. They're not making many dumb mistakes when it comes to how do I want to say this? They're not making the mistakes like running it on land and running it out of the water and burning up an impeller and overheating an engine and warping and ruining ruining the engine basically. So there's pluses and minuses to it. So definitely, if it's older, I don't know what you mean by older, but there's probably wood in those boats. The transom is probably made out of older plywood. Make sure that that's solid. You can tap it. By the way, I found my big screwdriver in my daughter's toy box where I thought it might have been, but get a nice screwdriver and just tap the hull all over on that transom. If it's a stern drive, grab that lower unit and kind of shake it. Make sure that you're not seeing any flex on the transom. That should be rock solid. But tap anywhere there's a through hull, anywhere there's a screw, a bolt, a fitting, a bilge pump through hull fitting, and you're tapping all around that, listening for a nice solid, like that. That's kind of a dull sound, but you want just a hard, I don't have anything because my office is tore apart, but you want just a nice hard tink, 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 not a thud, thud, thud sound. So I've definitely checked that because the older boats are typically going to have an alpha, a smaller gear case drive, and they're run harder, is you really want to check that lower unit for wear. So again, that's why I've got the big screwdriver, is you need this big end on it to crack the nut on the gear lube and check for metal shavings in there. Check it initially. I don't know if in the 80s, and depending on the year, that plug has a magnetic end on it to gather any shavings. So you can really tell, just run your finger across the back of it, and you can feel those metal shavings. I don't know when they started doing that though. So I don't know if the 80s, early 90s had it for sure. If anybody knows, put it in the comments, but that will help you avoid any of those issues, and just do a complete inspection, check the floor for any soft spots, including up in the cuddy. If it's got, if it's a closed bow, like this one, just make sure that you're checking all up in there in case water got in there and got the floor wet, which means probably the stringers are starting to rot, which means you got a big, huge project on your hand. If you want that, make sure you pay the appropriate price for it and know what you're getting into. If you don't want it, be quick to walk away from the boat, and knowing that you'll find another one. You may have to drive a little bit, but I think if you're diligent in your inspection, you can find one that will be exactly what you want. And but know that you're gonna have to cast a wide net, and you're gonna have to be really, really slow and diligent in your inspection process. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Arctic Tea, best recommendation for a spray on, spray off protectant, saltwater moored environment. Been doing a rinse, then salt away, then a rinse after each outing. Thorough wash, wax biannually. That the salt away is an absolute good decision to do. When you are like, there's a couple of different things. So you'll use, you can use as simple as a WD-40 on your stainless, or like a BioShield 9, or what is Surehold's got a, or polish it with like a Flitz or something like that from Surehold, and just keep all the stainless good and protected. That's going to be a good thing to do every time. If you're talking about the gel coat and the hull, it's really just keeping a good fresh coat of wax on. If you're more down in the sun, you can maybe wax it a couple times a year, or you can go the other direction and use the ceramic coat, which I don't have experience with the ceramic coat. I know Brock has used it. Several other people on here have used it, and it comes down to one, using the right product, but two, and probably more important, is to prep it properly. So that means stripping off all of the wax. It means following the instructions to the letter, to get the best protection out of it, and then cleaning with the right spray wax cleaner. Because sometimes what I understand can happen is, if you use the wrong spray cleaner, you can actually shorten the life of that ceramic coating, and be very counterproductive. What you think is good, I'm wiping the boat down every time with this great cleaner, and you're actually shortening the life of it. So just follow the directions of the brand that you have. If you have somebody else do the application, make sure they've done it hundreds of times before and they know exactly what they're doing, and they've done it on fiberglass on boats and not just on autos, which is it's not nearly as harsh of an environment. And either of those options, the waxing, and doing a good quota wax twice a year, or doing the ceramic coat, and using the right type of cleaners then. So that means Arctic Tea, when you're rinsing things off, never use like a Dawn dish soap, anything that's going to have a degreaser in it. That will take off your wax take off your wax and strip it. That's what you use before you reapply the wax. Is you strip it all off, polish it down, and then put your next coat of wax on. But you don't ever want to use that in between, because again, just like using the wrong spray cleaner on the ceramic, is using the wrong soap on the wax can be counterproductive and remove the wax for you. Mountaineer Vietnam, glad that you learned something today. Freemans are awesome. They're made right down the street from my house. One of the R&D guys lives in my neighborhood. Let me ride in his new 28 prototype this past winter. They ride amazing. 37 is my dream boat for saltwater. Yeah. So that is, who was that asked that question on the Freeman cats? Where did that question go? Well, whoever that was, you know who you were. And Brock is a very, very experienced boater. He's in Charleston, runs a 247 Sportsman. I think it's an open, but and grew up on the Chesapeake, grew up in Maryland, runs a bass boat, has his Sportsman as well, and knows a good ride, knows a bad ride, and knows a good ride. So that would be a opinion I would take. I would put a lot of value in. So yes, agreed. Having, there's benefits to living near water and where boats are built. 211, if I had the money, I would definitely have one. They're amazing boats. Yeah, I've heard good things. I don't know that I've ever run a Freeman. That when I was down at Ibex, what was they running? I don't think that was, but all right. I'm starting to like this Argo app. I've been playing with it. Gives a rough estimate of time. Yeah, I think you will. I think you will really enjoy it. Like I said, it's come a long way in the last. It's come a long way in the last several years. And the guy is super nice guy that started does all the work, and I think he outsources some of the coding. But because he's a boater, he's not a big corporation trying to figure this out. He's just a boater that is like, hey, this is something that boaters need. I think he's really hit the mark in a lot of ways, and making smart adjustments. He's got this ambassador program. I'm not a member of it, but where he's got just boaters that are really serious and want to get involved, that are like, hey, this is great. I think they even do some beta tests, but he takes advice from them. They help him promote it. And it's, I think that's why the arc of the app has really improved and gone from, on the bottom end of my recommendation to now has lifted up with several of his offerings. 211, after a full day yesterday with plenty of boats out, found out how the center console handles rough chop, how valuable dock line. Yes, that's funny. It's interesting because you think so often when you tie up in a perfect situation, especially at a side dock and especially inland, you tie off and you're like, I've got all this extra line. What do I need such long lines for? Well, you get into a situation where the cleats aren't where you want them to be, or a cleat's busted off, or a cleat is like, I'm not tying my boat up to that thing. That's coming loose in 2 seconds. It's just all jiggly and janky. And now you're like, oh crap. Now my boat's going to get tore up if my lines aren't long enough and I can't get it, my spring from the back corner to here, or even crossing, going from the opposite side to here. And, you run into some weird dock situations. And if you don't have those long lines, well, you can't stretch your line. You can always make it shorter. You can always tie it off short, but you can never, unless you're tying lines together, which usually isn't the case. That's right. You said 240 Sun Deck. I don't know what year Chase Banks that is, but I sold Sea Ray, and I sold a ton of the 99 to 09 240 Sun Decks. That's when they were 26 feet 4 inches, 8.5 beam. And I loved that boat. I sold so many of them. And then in 2010, 2010, they redesigned it and made it 24 feet, I think 24 exactly, or 24.1 with an 8.5 foot beam. Still a great boat. But that 299 to 2009 240 Sun Deck I love that thing. That was a huge boat. And with the 240 moniker, people thought it was 24, but it was 26.4, and it was big. Polyform, the G6. Yeah. So the G6, you get the color to match the hull. You got to do it. And it looks sharp and protects your investment. Even if you spend $5,000 on a boat, it's a $5,000 boat. That's, if you spend $100,000, you want to protect your investment. Doesn't matter what it is. You don't want big scratches and gouges, and you want to take care of it. So, all right, we're coming up on an hour and a half here. Let's see. I think we're doing pretty good on questions, but all right. Somebody just asked a pontoon question. There we go. Kings and City, the first, welcome. I don't recognize that name. Looking to buy a pontoon, deciding between Crest, Avalon, Viaggio. Any input would be helpful. So, I would say, let's see. I would go Avalon, Viaggio, Crest as far as ranking. Avalon, I would say probably the top. Viaggio, Crest, very, very close, but I would say I like some of the things Viaggio is doing now. And my last pontoon review that I did, Viaggio, it was their very first year, and they were still, I evaluated them as Misty Harbor. And but as I've gone through the Viaggios over the last couple of years, I like what they're doing. I think their styling is great. I think their boats look really, really nice. But Crest does a good job too. With that said, it also depends on Kings and City. It also depends on the specific model that you're looking at when you're comparing, because they each have best, or what do they call it? Do better, good, better, best, or whatever. So they've got different levels within their brand, and sometimes they'll do different things. They definitely have, thicker upholstery, more, what's the word I'm looking for? More fancy interiors. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's, they've got nicer interiors as you go up the line. And sometimes, I don't know this for a fact, Avalon, no, I think Avalon uses the same decking down on all of their models. Crest does as well. I think Crest, the whatever their value brand, their value model is, I think has a little bit different construction. Viaggio is the same construction on all of theirs. All right, so the Classic, the Caribbean, the Current, yeah. So no, that's their electric. That's not what I'm thinking. No, they do. If I remember right, that their Crest does have the same decking down on all of their models. You got to watch out for that, because some of the brands that Harris, Barletta, Bennington, in their value level, they build things slightly different. So it's something that you need to look out for. But that's what I would go. But what I would really say is, the Avalon isn't that far ahead that I would go to the dealer. The dealer that's the best. And 211 just went through this. He just bought his new center console within the last couple of months. He took delivery. There were some warranty things, and his dealer took care of them. His dealer handled things the way a great dealer should handle them. So no matter what boats you buy, there's probably going to be something that comes up in the first year, and a great dealer will keep you out on the water and keep you going. And they have as much, if not more, impact on your overall boating experience than the brand does. Now, if you look at an Avalon versus a value brand, now that it's different. That there's definitely experiences with the boat, but within that top level category, I would say Avalon's in the premium, Viaggio and Crest are higher middle tier, but they're close enough that a bad dealer with an Avalon is going to be a worse experience than a great dealer with a Crest or a Viaggio. It is, and it trust me, it makes a difference. So make sure you go with the dealer that has a good reputation, that you click with, that is location wise convenient. That makes a difference as well. If you're on the water, will they come to your boat? If you got to trailer it to them, are they 10 minutes away? Are they an hour and a half away? That convenience factor of location makes a difference as well. So hopefully that helps you there. Just the other week, my Minn Kota 30-pound thrust died on me for some weird reasons. I don't know. I would say, let's see what Brock has to say on this one. Check the control board on the head of the motor. Pretty common to burn out. Loose. Yeah, that's what I was gonna go with the connection, a wiring connection somewhere. Had a magnet on the screw in the lower unit. Oh, okay. So you're 90. We were talking about checking the gear oil on some of the older boats, and in the 95 there was a magnet on that screw. So I know at some point that was an innovation that they made. I just don't know when it came into play. But that I might be able to look that one up sometime. Arctic Tea, you're welcome. Very important with ceramic coat to only use a shampoo that's designed for ceramic coating. Make sure you follow the manufacturer's guideline, detailer booster applications. Yeah, that is, I think that's probably right up there with prepping it and applying it properly, is washing it and maintaining it properly. I see all the time people that just spray some Dawn dish soap. If they wax their boat, spray the Dawn dish soap in and wash it with that. And that just takes that wax off. Doing the same thing on ceramic coat with the wrong product can have the same result. Yeah. So the 05, that is perfect. That boat I think that is probably, matter of fact, I did a video. I think I did this video. Um, Oh, I thought I did a my favorite boats video, but that 240 Sun Deck is I love it. I love that boat. I also love the 250 SLX. That's another boat that I really 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 love, the looks of it and the ride of it. But yeah, that's an awesome setup and a great boat for the Ozarks too. Yes, they only had 2 of the rings improperly placed. I had to use 2 that I used all of 25. Yes. That you start to get nervous. You're like, "Oh crap, are we going to get there? Can we get tied up?" And you never know what it's going to look like. Upgrade from the Sun Deck, from a 93 Rinker 186. You are going to love the ride. The ride of that Sun Deck is I don't know, it runs great with the 5.0 fuel injected. But with if you have the 350 mag, that was awesome. The Catalina, the Lago, and the Caribbean. Yeah, I would have to. I don't know off the top of my head those models specifically, but it's pretty easy to tell. The Caribbean's is in the mid tier, of the. Let's see here. The Lago's the mid tier. And rest. Catalina pontoon boats. View all models. That's what I want. Excalibur, Signature. Catalina. Okay. Yeah. So the Catalina is right there in the middle as well. So yeah, I would say all three of the models that you're looking at fall in the same level category for the brand. So I would say that holds up. Yeah, sustainability. I agree. The aesthetics of the Viaggio is I've really come around on them. The old Misty Harbor one, very very dated look, but they didn't do a great job with their helms. It was part of the dated look, but the Viaggios have really stepped it up. They rebranded for obvious reasons, and their fence rails and kind of that little slant at the back that the Diamante has, I think is sharp looking the way they do that. Um, the little angle there, it's a sharp looking exterior and a pretty good looking interior as well. Yes, King is the dealer, important part of the buying. So that's from a guy that has just took delivery in the last 2 months. And it's Google reviews. I always say, talk to the service department, talk to the service writer, talk to the person that you're going to be dealing with the warranty. If it's a small enough dealer, talk to the owner or the general manager, and just get a sense for them. But talking to the people in service, they're service focused. They're turning wrenches, they're fixing things. They're typically not salespeople that are putting a spin on or saying what you want to hear. They're gonna have less of a filter on the reality, and that can be valuable information before you write that check. Best place to have your upholstery work done at a good price, Greg. It is all local. 100% local. The best thing to do is to go into a local Facebook community, local boating Facebook community, and pose that question there. Because for me here, if you're on Lake Norman, what's her name? There's a lady that's been doing it for 30 years. Something Custom Cushions. I forget her name. If you're down on Lake Wiley, there's another company that is good, but a little bit further off that's done some work for me. I forget their name, but every area has somebody that's the go-to person, and it's not economical to ship it off and have it shipped back. Typically, it's typically best to find that local person, take them the boat, let them do their thing, and then bring it back. They've been putting magnets some time now, probably in the 70s, 80s, started using them on outboards. Yeah, I wish I've had this question to myself before, but I've never done the research to figure it out. That's when did magnet on ear case. Case drain plug. All right. So I'm going to leave that up. I'm going to find that answer for the next time I have this conversation. Mine had nice. Yes. So a couple of things that you can do is pull back that throttle just a little bit and use that, get that trim set up. Get that trim set up at the right level, and your gallons per hour burn will drop down. With that 350, you've got enough oomph to get that boat up on plane and going. The other thing that's helpful is it might be better when it's warmer, but get a little bit of weight up in the bow. If everything's in the back, you won't be able to use as much trim, but that boat is incredibly well balanced, and you can put a lot of trim in that boat. And you'll find the right setting based on your weight distribution and based on your throttle setting and your speed. But that boat can take a good amount of trim, and that will help you save that fuel, especially now when the channel's not so choppy, that you can actually run up on plane and run a good speed. You'll drop that gallons per hour burn down quite a bit. Thoughts on my new used 95 Thompson bow rider with the 97 Yamaha 150. It all depends on a boat. Any boat, Greg, over 5 to 7 years old, it's all about how well was that boat taken care of. I'll tell you, my family had, our second boat was a 1987 18-foot Thompson with a Mercruiser. It was probably a 4.3 liter. I would guess. I don't know for sure what it was, but that boat, there was we had to get a new hull on it. So we had an 87 hull, and then no, maybe it was an 88, because I think we ended up with a new 89 hull, because it had blisters and it had some issues with it that they didn't let it cure long enough in the mold, and it caused some problems. So one winter we sent it back to wherever they were made, and they put a new hull on it, changed the colors a little bit, and changed the model year of the boat, which was interesting. But the boat was a good boat. We loved it. My mom hated it for a couple of reasons, but it all depends on how well it's been taken care of, and then make sure you take care of it as best you can to get the most life out of it. Thanks for all the advice, input. What's your email? Yes. So go ahead and, what is my email address? captain@boatersecretweapon.com. You can go there, and I'll try to send you, now that I know your boat, the 240 Sun Deck. I've put matched fenders and dock lines to that boat hundreds of times. I bet I've sold close to 100 of those boats in the time I was selling, because a ton of those were built. Most popular boat, Sea Ray, built for a long time, before the 205 Sport took over that spot. So, all right, guys, we're hour and 45. I am spent. And thank you all very much. I appreciate your participation. If you are new to boating, check out the Boater Bootcamp. If you're a new boat owner, if you are a boat shopper, get the Boat Buyer Toolkit. It's a great resource. You'll be glad you got it. If you struggle with your boat handling, check out the Best Boat Captain. We've got the twin engine we just released, single engine outboard, single engine stern drive, pontoon version, jet and wake boat versions coming soon. Trailer Like a Pro, Confident Coastal Boater, just trainings to give you the skills, the confidence, the knowledge, and they all come with the money back guarantee. If you're not happy, say the word. You get your money back, no questions, no rigmarole, no hassle. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next week on the live. Have a great week.